Yes, welcome to Love Soul 420. I'm your host, Goddess Z. And today I have a very special guest, Mark Watts. Say what's up, Mark.
Hello, everybody.
Um, Mark is a very unique and talented individual. We are going to talk about a lot of different things that he's working on, primarily the NFT. But before we go into that, I want you guys to learn about him from beginning to end. And I'm not going to spill it all in one um, session right now. I'm going to go ahead through some questions for him specifically because I really want to know the answer to these questions. I know you guys are going to want to know the answer to these questions. And we only have a little bit of time with Mark because he's a very busy man. So we're very lucky to have you, Mark. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad to be able to speak with you. I want to kind of like dig into your past a little bit, some stories. I want you to uplift
Sure,
us. I want you to like vibe with us. So are you feeling that, Mark?
I'm feeling it. Sure, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. All right. So, first, let me get started with a very important question. Where are you from and where do you live now? Tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, I was born and raised in Lansing, Michigan, and I moved to California and lived there for 25 years. I lived in Texas for 2 years, and I made my way back to Lansing, Michigan. So right now, currently, I am in my hometown of Lansing, Michigan.
Nice. How is the weather over there right now?
Well, I'm just afraid that we're going to get snow sooner or later. It's melting and it's probably like a warm 30 degrees outside and the sun is shining. But with Michigan weather, you wake up tomorrow, we could have 3 feet of snow. So I'm enjoying the weather now and enjoying the sun and the snow is melting, but I'm
Okay.
not going to drop that other shoe yet.
You don't want to drop it just said, okay, I feel you.
No.
What is you said you also lived in Los Angeles for a little bit, right?
Yes.
What are the differences you feel like? What do you like more about Michigan that made you come back and leave Los Angeles?
Well, the 25 years that I lived there, and they say it's like this in big cities, you get tired of the rat race and the freeways and the noise and all of the pressures and the drama and stuff. So every year I would come home for Christmas or come home for a holiday to recharge my batteries, just to
Right.
relax, have, silence, and then go back out there. Once you hit the LAX and you hit the streets, and then you're back to reality. Hey, I'm back in California with the beeping the horns and the
The busy.
freeways and everything else. Yes.
So now you're in your hometown where you can relax, you could take it
Yes.
easy. You're kind of like,
Yes.
okay, now I could take a step back and kind of like do my thing.
Yeah, that opens up opens up a lot of my creativity. In California, I mean, you know, I call that my second home. I still love California. I still my personal phone number, I still have my 818 number. I'll never change that.
Right.
It will always be my second home. But I get a lot done here in Michigan because there's no distractions and I can just create and I
Yes.
look at the clock and it's like I'm creating like 16 hours, 17 hours, and I'm like, oh, okay, let me go to bed and do it again. So there's not as much distraction here, especially around the winter time. I mean,
Right. Exactly.
so
Exactly. And no
yeah,
one's interrupting you, and you don't feel the pressure of, man, I don't have time. You have time now.
yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Okay, okay, that makes sense. How did you get into art? Tell us a little bit about that and what led you to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena.
Oh, funny story. Okay, I say I was born with my gift, and being a child, I used to think that, you're in class, everyone can draw, everyone's drawing things. And when I was in kindergarten, we had to listen to a record, Peter and the Wolf, and we had to draw what we hear. and other people had stick figures, and I had the full body of Peter in the tree, putting the rope on the wolf, and the little bird on his shoulders, because that's what I heard. And
They were like,
my
Mark is always
teacher,
showing off.
no, I was just thinking that everyone else was drawing it the same way as me, and then my teacher just frantic and she screamed, and I'm like, "What's going on?" You know, as a kid, I thought I was in trouble. She said, "Did you draw this?" I said, "Yes, you did." And she was like, "Take this down to the principal." And I started crying because I thought I was in trouble. And I went to the principal, and she looked at it. She said, "Mark, did you draw this?" I was like, "Yeah." And they called my mother at work, and they put the picture up in the front of the school, and they told my mother, "Your son has a gift." And me
Wow.
being a kid, I'm like, yeah, yeah, whatever, you know, because it didn't dawn on me. But the funny thing about me as a kid, that I could always draw what I wanted to be. Like, hey, I want to be a fireman. Hey, I want to be a policeman. I would draw everything that I want to be, and won all kinds of contests, drawing contests. Like, I had a friend in third grade who he traded me his all of his Spider-Man comic books, which I still have, and all of his Luke Cage comic books for this first place. I won a Batman and Robin for the whole city of Lansing in a Calberry contest. And he
Wow.
traded that one book that I did. I'm like, man, that's a sucker's bet. Okay. And, and I gave it to him, and but everyone loved my drawings from there. And
Right.
when I got out to not knowing that my career was going to be in animation, but I used to watch Speed Racer and everything else. And my mother and father, well, they didn't have a Speed Racer toy out then, so I would draw the Mark V on a piece of paper and all of the cars that Speed Racer would race, and I cut them out and have paper cars, and my brother and I would have paper cars all around the house. It wasn't a Hot Wheel car. It was my paper car or the Mark V.
Wow.
And since my first
Okay.
name was
Wow. You
Mark,
okay.
yeah, I was always creative, but it didn't dawn. You know what I mean? Like, my sister always wanted a Barbie townhouse, and my mother couldn't buy her one. My mother and father didn't buy her one. So what did I do? I put empty boxes and put them stacked them on each other, drew all over the townhouse, and made it into a townhouse. Made her a doll house like that.
She
And
must
my
have loved
brother and I's GI Joe. Yeah.
you.
So.
She never forget that. I'm sure she must have been like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, my little sister, yeah, she loved it. I would, draw the furniture out of, I would draw the furniture and everything. I drew everything.
Even
And
the
I passed
furniture?
her yes, I drew the furniture. I drew the pictures on the wall. She had a little kitchenette. My GI Joes would come over to visit her Barbies because I didn't like Ken, you know. My brother and I like GI Joes, the 12-inch ones, the big ones, not the small ones, the big
Oh,
ones.
okay. I was gonna say, man, how do you match those little dolls? Okay, you got the big one.
Yeah, yeah. The when they had the big ones, not the
Full
little
size.
ones yet. Yeah. So and I would draw on my mother's post-it notes. She had a little post-it notes. I would draw cartoons, Woody Woodpecker, or draw me being a boxer, or draw me
Oh,
being
you
a basketball, and I
said
flip the
picker. Oh
pages,
yeah, those are
not
memories.
knowing I was gonna. Yeah, I didn't know I was gonna be in animation. So I was also a basketball player in junior high school and high school. I was a great basketball player, and I moved out to California. My uncle in San Francisco told me I need to come out and get a career in art. And I
Okay.
was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, whatever. So I flew out there, one-way ticket. My best friend, who's my agent now, his name is Steve Haney. He picked me up from the airport, San Francisco airport.
Okay.
So we did. Did you see the movie White Man Can't Jump?
Of
Did you see
course.
that movie? Yeah, okay. So we were going around the parks of San Jose, and no one knew who I was, and they were laying the bets out. And our first play was I would go baseline and dunk the ball. So, we went all over these parks, getting money and winning money and stuff. And two players asked me if I wanted to try out for New Zealand and or either Mexico, playing overseas. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. Yeah. That was like 3 months I got in California, and my uncle in San Francisco made a bet with me. He said, if you go up to his career day at the Art Academy in San Francisco, which he lived right on Lombard Street, right around the corner. Take your portfolio up there, and if you get an offer of anywhere, don't go with the basketball. Don't go because I was gonna go,
Right.
and I'm still cocky. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I went up there to the career day, and I got offered 8 scholarships on the spot, 8 of them, and
Wow.
in
Okay.
Chicago. Yeah, Chicago Fashion Institute wanted me really bad, and I said, "Hey, I just got out here to California. I want to go back to that cold."
Yeah.
I said, "No."
You're like, I'm enjoying
So
life right now.
no, yeah, exactly. So I laid out all the letters when I came back from the career day. Laid out all the letters, and my uncle seen the letter, Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, and he just started crying. I said, "Why are you crying?" He said, "Do you
Right.
know how hard it is to get in this?" He said, "This is like the Harvard or Yale of art school, and they're offering you a scholarship." I didn't think nothing about it, but I had a bet's a bet. So
Right.
I made the bet. I didn't go with the basketball. That hurt me because
Oh,
I loved it. That hurt me. And then I went to Southern California and went to Art Center College of Design. And the very first day was the "You're not in Kansas anymore" moment I had. You're not in Kansas because before, I'm in Lansing, Michigan, and I'm one of the top guys in art and stuff. But when I went there and seen all the talent there, I was just amazed. And it's either like, hey, either I'm going to quit or either I'm going to try to go on this journey. And our first class was an 8-hour class, life drawing class. I said 8 hours, and then our
right.
teacher said, "This is what you're going to be doing for a living. You're going to be drawing for 8 hours," and that's when reality hit in.
Wow.
And
You
that,
were like, whoa,
yeah,
I'm in the big leagues now.
yes, yes. You're not
Okay.
in Lansing, Michigan anymore.
Not
Lansing's probably
in
about big as your hand. Yes, yes,
that, but you know what? I think like those pivotal moments in life, right? When you're like, okay,
right,
I gotta show up and I gotta see what I'm really made of with this. And
right,
especially
right,
you being so talented, now all of a sudden you're watching other people that are talented and you're like, man, I'm not I'm amongst some
yes,
challenges right now.
right. And I had to, sometimes I put life in basketball terms, and it's just like that was just like one day someone's blocking your shot. Either you're gonna shoot again, or you're gonna pass, or you're gonna quit. You know what?
Right.
Let me go out the court. That guy's better than me, so I've always been a competitive person that way, within my own self. And I'm like, oh, and I had to start from scratch, going to that college because there was so many talented people there. And I was just in awe. And the more you're around people, and that's why I try to tell young kids when they ask me about drawing and, ask me advice, and I tell them, hey, be around people who are better than you. I said, if you have an Instagram account, they have so many great artists there. I said, I still do that today. Get inspiration from people who are better than you,
Yeah.
or else you'll be in your own little bubble.
Yeah.
And not saying that I wasn't challenged when I was growing up in Lansing, but I was always in every class. I was always like one of the top artists. So it wasn't really a challenge until I moved to California.
Right. Right. But that's how
Yeah.
you grew. That's how you grew. It's the challenges
Yes.
that make us grow. So you always
Yes.
want to make sure that there's other smarter people in the room so you can learn. I agree with
Always.
that. I
Always.
agree with that.
Yeah.
You know what? So speaking of that, that kind of leads on to my next question. Tell me 5 people that inspire you, and they don't necessarily have to be artists, but they can be. But just 5 top people randomly that you feel close to that inspire you or motivate you. It could be family, it could be friends, it could be actor. Just 5 people.
5 people. Um,
The most
I have to
important
say,
people to you. To you.
um, both of my both of my parents, which that counts as one. Both of
Okay.
my late parents, they really inspired me, and I'll put my family with that also, because I had an older sister. There I go with my competitiveness again. If you had an interview with my brothers and sisters and you ask a question, who's the most competitive person, they'll all point to me because my older brother and my older sister, they were better artists than me. And when I was in grade school, when my teachers and my friends said, "Hey, you're a great artist," they didn't get to me. I had to be better than my older sister.
All right.
So I had to say, yes, she was uh, my first huge, um, huge influence. And then one of my best friends that I worked with, um, and I'll put this with two people. His name is Orlando Baeza. He taught me a lot about animation, and he became my brother, and I'm still in awe at his work. And when I had worked at Warner Brothers, was another friend of mine I went to school with. His name was Matt Ernie.
Okay.
You know, I really admired him. And then I can go to my comic book heroes, uh, uh, Jack Kirby, um, Paul Galassi, um,
Okay.
and Jim Lee. Yeah, I can go to those guys. And basketball, I would say Dr. J, Magic, Kobe, the late Kobe Bryant. Those were my top players. So
And
I
what is
just
it about
grabbed
those
I just
people?
grabbed a little bit.
You did. And what is it about those people collectively that you feel that draws you to them? What was it about them that motivated you? What's that one thing about their character that you like?
I would have to say overall, including my family and my sports hero and my buddies I work with, I love their work ethic and the their work ethic, and that's what drew me in. And basically, hey, Mark, you can do it too. You can do it also. And I still have a lot of, when I worked on The Simpsons, I still have a lot of my friends' drawings because we used to make drawings of each other and stuff. And it's still the kid in me that I still get inspiration, and I'm amazed at other artists, even music. I'll say music also. I have an uncle that plays for Stevie Wonder, and he's plays the bass guitar of anybody. Look at your old Stevie Wonder stuff, and you look at the bass guitars. Nathan Watts, that's my father's brother. And
Okay.
to meet Stevie Wonder and to see him practice and to see him, I've seen him millions of times, and to see
How
my
was that
uncle.
like? How was that like?
The first time I met Stevie Wonder was on Arsenio Hall show. I'm meeting everyone on the same day,
Oh
Arsenio
my
Hall and
goodness.
everything else.
Okay.
And when I was out there, before I met Stevie, my uncle was one of the executive producers of the soundtrack Jungle Fever. He was the executive producer. So
Yes.
when I was out there, he was mixing it up at Wonderland Studios, and I'm like, "Wow, I'm in Wonderland Studios, Stevie Wonder." And when he came out, I was just like, that was the only time that I was starstruck. That was the only time.
Oh,
And
that's
then when I
Stevie
got to know
Wonder. You know
him,
what I'm saying? That's Stevie Wonder.
amazing. And I'm just in awe of the way that he would arrange and play music. And I would talk to my uncle. I was like, man, and not only that, my uncle played for the Jacksons with Michael. He played on the album Triumph and Destiny, Shake Your Body
Right.
Down to the Ground and all that other stuff. And Jermaine Jackson, I was just amazed at his art and how he would play these iconic bass lines. And
Right.
he'll be amazed at my drawing, and I'd be like, "Yeah, whatever." That's the way I looked at myself.
Right.
Like it's no big thing. And he would always tell everyone. He told Stevie and Spike Lee, "Hey, this is my nephew. He works on The Simpsons. He went to Art Center, and he introduced me to everyone like that. And here he was, one of my heroes." And my
Wow.
uncle looked at me as, yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So that is a big wow. So I've been really, really blessed. I've been really, really blessed to be around great people and great people who inspire me. And then that's what I try to do when kids ask me questions or
Right.
people ask me questions or they look at me like, for instance, I was invited to my old high school and I went to the same school as Magic Johnson. You know, Magic
Oh,
is
okay.
when Magic was playing, I was a little kid. You
Okay.
know, my older sister would take me to see him when he was in high school. I was, you know, in grade school. So at my old high school, they had Magic Johnson everything, Magic Johnson
Every
gym, and they yeah, and they want me to come in and tell the kids you don't have to be a Magic Johnson to be successful. And
you're right.
I
Yeah.
went there. Yeah, I went there and spoke about last year. So they're inviting me back again. I went last year and it was a success. And the kids were in awe that someone from their school and went out and did things. And I try to tell kids, hey, you can do the same thing. If I could do it, you can
You
do it.
can do it. That's right. You got to
Yeah,
believe in
yeah.
yourself, you know?
Yes, you
It's all
do.
about putting that
Yes, you
belief
do.
inside of you. You can accomplish anything. And speaking of accomplishing
Yeah.
things, what is a challenge that you've overcome in life that you and tell us the lesson you learned in it, because I feel like everybody has had that one um, thing that they experienced that kind of really changed their life for the better,
Right.
because we always go through something, some kind of trauma or some kind of challenge, or there's something that we go through that when we finally overcome it, we're like, yes, I can definitely move on to the next level of my life. So tell us about an obstacle that
Hmm.
you've overcome and what did you learn from it?
Okay, that's a good question. The biggest thing that that I've overcome, it goes back to I had to go back to when I got hired on The Simpsons. You know, in life, when you get, I didn't notice when you get your foot in the door, that's when the work starts. Um, I had my I had my Bobby Brown and my Puffy Combs moment when I got hired, and I was making more money than I ever seen in my life,
Right.
and that was my big head moment. You know, I one of the dumbest things I did was I went to Tower Records. They don't have that anymore. Went to
Okay.
Tower Records in Encino, and I wanted to know how it felt to buy $200 worth of CDs, just to be doing it on a whim. And remind you, I was spending money, and my father was telling me, "Hey, you need to save it." You know, I would, and I was just going around like I don't have to,
I'm not
I was
worried
going
about
around with this big head.
it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going playing on
Good.
three, and this was really stupid. And I'm glad I'm admitting this live. This is really stupid what I did. I played on not one, but three adult league basketball teams while I was working on the Simpsons and volunteering coaching. And you can't do all of that. You know, my job and my career didn't come first.
Right.
So when they had budget cuts, guess who got cut? And that's the first time I remind you, I never got cut in basketball, I never got cut in anything. It's the first time in my life I got cut.
Cut.
And then I was going in a spiral airplane, like airplane.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to get back into the business. And I told myself, once I get back in the business, I am going to, that will never happen again. That will never happen again. I said, no one will ever outwork me. And
Okay.
and when we were on the television show, that was a valuable lesson. So when I got back on the
That's a very
television
valuable
show,
lesson. It was like humbling, I guess,
oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, it did. So when I got back into the business, when I got on the Good Family, the producers, I will always tell myself, I didn't tell the directors,
Okay.
I will never, they'll never come to me asking me for a scene like, hey, you got this scene finished? When are you gonna finish? When are you
Right.
gonna have it finished? That was my goal. So some nights, which I didn't know that they were tracking the little door key, I would be in the studio, the animation studio, to like 2 in the morning, 2 to 3:30 in the morning, and get up the next day, be back to work at 10 in the morning. I will
Wow.
always do that. So they
You
were
had a
saying
different, now
if
your
we
work
get,
ethics changed.
oh yes, oh yes, and it's still like that to this day.
That's good.
I will sit here at my desk and I will draw till I'm starting to get sleepy. I'm like, all right, I have to lay down. or if I'm going to do an all nighter, hey, let me go crash on my couch for a few hours and get up here. Because I said, I don't care how much talent you got to have that work ethic. And
Yeah.
my directors were worried that I was going to get burnt out. They said, "Hey, Mark, you don't have to be in the studio till 2:30 in the morning." I said, "Who told you that? Who told you that?" They said, "We know you don't have to do that. We don't want you to burn you out." And I was like, and I told them, I said, "There's a lot of talented artists on this show, but no one's going to outwork me." And I still, that's the most valuable lesson I got. No one's going to outwork me ever.
There's a saying that I heard that I've always loved, and it says, an artist is never finished with their work. They just stop and move on to the next project. Because we can
Right.
always find flaw in every time you go back, like, oh, I could tweak it a little bit. I could, and it can, the tweak can take forever, you know? So an artist
Yeah.
can actually finish a project or work. They just have to decide, I'm going to stop.
I like that. That's funny you mentioned that because I would when I got to high school, I was a freshman, sophomore, and I used to like the senior girls, and at that time it was Rick James, Michael Jackson, and Prince.
Yeah.
The girls would always ask me, "Can you?" The pretty girls asked me, "Could I draw them?" Prince. So many people in Lansing, Michigan, got my drawings, and
So your drawers are all over Langston, Michigan. At least when I go there, I'm
yes.
gonna be like, that might have been Mark.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So my sister I would be in the basement just drawing away, and my younger sister would come downstairs and say, "Who is that supposed to be?" And I'll say, "LD Barge or something." So it doesn't look like him. And she'll walk upstairs, and I gotta ball it up and throw it away, and then make sure it's if she because she's not her being my sister, she's not to this day, she is not amused at all of my accomplishments or anything like that. She still looks at my work as she was a little kid. All the things I have and the things on my wall, it does not impress her. And it doesn't any of my family's like, yeah, that's burnt, whatever.
Yeah, because you know what? Our
So,
families know you, you know what I'm saying? They're like, and I grew up with
right,
this guy, you know? So they know you for the
exactly,
you. They know you for the you, the
exactly.
person, you know? And I'm sure they absolutely appreciate all of your accomplishments. But to them, it's like, we already
Yeah,
know this guy's good. Whatever. Don't give him any more, don't blow up his head any more than
basically,
it needs to. But I know that you're
basically.
awesome, and I want to ask you.
Uh,
So tell me how did you lead to The Simpsons, man? I'm impressed. Like that's awesome. So how did you get this opportunity, or how did you follow this path?
That day, that was nothing but God. That's all I can say is,
There goes God again.
yes, it was God. That no God, that was God. That was because
Yeah.
I, I was doing the old cliche back in the day of hitting the pavement in the daytime, working at night. And I take my portfolio everywhere to all these animation studios, and it was a lady named Phyllis Craig, late great Phyllis Craig. She looked at my portfolio. Remind you, my portfolio didn't have any Simpson stuff in it or animation stuff in it. I had fashion drawings and life drawings. And her and a gentleman named David Brain, they looked at my stuff and they said, your stuff is great, it's beautiful. And they're talking right in front of me. And they said, maybe we should Howie Mandel had a cartoon called Bobby's World. And they
Bobby's
said
World.
they
I
had
remember
film room. And
that.
I
I
said,
love that one. That
you
was one of
remember
my
that? You remember
yes.
that? Yeah.
Bobby's World,
They were gonna
and
put me.
my other favorite was Pinky and the Brain.
Still love Pinky and the Brain. Pinky and the Brain. So you got me singing the song now. So
Yeah.
they told me they were saying that either I could be on Bobby's World or The Simpsons, and they said, well, The Simpsons need more artists, so they they're gonna put me in The Simpsons, and I said I have no animation experience, and they said which I don't know if they do this now. They said we will train you. So whenever you see David Silverman on the Simpson credits, I was in his office, and he trained me, and
Okay.
a director named Susan Dieter, and they trained me as I had my desk and everything, and flipping the pages, and my first Simpsons scene, my first time, oh, it was crud, it's crappy, and I just keep it for a reminder. It's horrible to the way I am now that I can draw the Simpsons in my sleep. I could draw them in my sleep, but before they took a chance on me and they trained me, and that's where I got all my training on The Simpsons, all of my animation, and that job to this day was the funnest job, the most fun job, the most
Ever.
exciting job I ever had. Oh yes, ever. And I still have friends on there today. Some of them went on to do other shows, and I still have friends on that show to this day.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah,
I like this. I like this. And I have another question that's gonna be a little
sure,
controversial
sure,
for you, but I know that
sure,
I know that I'm on borrowed time, and I want to make sure I hit you with the questions that I feel like the audience really wants to hear answered. Okay. So
sure. Okay,
how do you feel? It's like a two-part question. How do you
okay.
feel of the conspiracy theories surrounding The Simpsons, of how they feel okay? Like The Simpsons always
Okay,
predicts the future. And I'm gonna give
right.
you an example. There was an episode where they were drawing a scientific theory on the blackboard. And 10 years later, uh, very reputable scientists happened to do the exact same thing. It was like the scene replicated in real life. There's a lot of there's a
Right.
lot of conspiracy theories that the Simpsons are always predicting future events. So how real is that?
Mm. Well, for the listeners, I will say this, and I'm gonna bust some bubbles right here. Now, a lot of that is true, and how do they do it? I really don't know. Remind you, they had great writers on that show, like Conan O'Brien came from The Simpsons. They had a lot of great writers, but some of them, and people show me things, and people send me things. Some of the new ones and stuff, I hate to tell people that, but it's fake. Not all of it. A
Right.
lot of that stuff is true. A lot of it's true. And then when people send me things, how some people want to jump aboard, and
Yeah.
and yeah, some of those people, not a lot, but some of them, I
Right.
could tell when one is true and one is not. Like I seen one which, this is horrific, and I don't know why people would click on it. Someone sent me something like The Simpsons predicted Kobe Bryant, helicopter crash, and I was like, no, that's stuff like that or whatever is fake. But a
Right.
lot of other stuff, the only thing I could say is they had great writers. It blows their minds, blows my mind too. They still have great writers. I
So there's
still watch The Simpsons
there's
to this day.
multiple writers that are putting on some of the storyboard. So
Right.
it just has to do with the mind of whoever that writer is, how well they are
Yeah.
able
We
to translate that into the episode, right?
Right. And I can say that a lot of stuff that didn't make the air is just crazy funny. Some things that didn't make the air, like, oh, well, we can't put this on, but we would animate it every Friday. All of the animators would get together and make an animatic, and we would see the rough version, because the voices would put stuff on there that will never make the air, and we'll
Right.
animate it. And another secret, I'm going to tell everyone a secret, and I've done this too. Whenever there's a crowd scene where you see a lot of people in the background, we would draw ourselves in the scene. Or if the camera goes past real fast, we will always draw ourselves in the scene.
So you work yourselves in
That's
there
a secret.
somewhere. Oh,
Oh yeah.
that I
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
I've
That
done
kind of
I've
reminds
done
me.
that countless.
You've done that a few times.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I did.
That
I
reminds
did.
me. That reminds me of oh my gosh, what's that guy that does all of the crazy movies. Dawn Till Dusk. Um,
Uh, Not Quentin Tarantino, him?
yeah, Quentin Tarantino. I always like that Quentin Tarantino always puts himself as a small role into his movies.
Yes,
You know, like
yes, he
he'll always
does.
play like the
Uh-huh.
most insignificant person, but it's like that is such a significant part of the movie that he's actually in there.
Yes,
So I think that you doing
yes,
that, that's incredible. I really like that. That also reminds me of
yes.
who else does something kind of like that? 21 Savage, Metro Boomin, the production.
Oh, really?
Metro Boomin, he's a producer for 21 Savage and a bunch of other people, but he's in the
Uh-huh.
videos as an extra. So you see someone
I
in the
didn't know
videos as
that.
an extra and you don't realize that's the producer that created the whole album,
Right,
you know?
right.
So I think that
It
stuff
may.
like that is very, very clever and it's amazing. That's kind of cool that you do that.
Yeah,
I like that. There
yeah.
was something else that I really wanted to ask you. Okay, I really want to get into your NFT project because that's one of the major reasons why
Okay,
I wanted to talk to you. But before I ask you about the NFTs, real quick, tell us what goes into
okay.
storyboarding and creating an animated series from your side of things.
It goes back to when I was in kindergarten. You know, you listen to the track and you listen to the actors, and we all animators have a mirror by their desk, which I have one here in my studio, because as you're the animator, you're bringing these characters to life. You
Right.
know, like how would Homer strangle Bart? You know, he wouldn't go like, and like this. You're listening to the track and you hear, why you little, and then you have to animate like you little, and you looking in the mirror, how would Homer do it? How would Bart, like this? So it plays in an animator bring a script to life. Now I can read a script and I'm already imagining how this character is going to do this, how it's going to be dramatic or anything like that. So it plays into that. That's how everything is made like that.
Okay.
So, and having that mind ever since I was a kid, you know, not knowing, there I go about God again, not knowing that that was going to be a part of my life. I'm already doing it as a kid.
Right.
So it's just reading something, bring it to life. So any cartoon you've seen, any animated movie you've seen, or anything like that, that animator brought that character to
It's
life.
to life.
It all starts out with voice, yes. Start with a voice in the script. Woody Woodpecker, Charlie Brown, or whatever it may be, a voice in the script. So the animator brings it to life.
Okay, I like that. I like that. And that now leads
Hmm.
that, you know what? It makes so much sense why you
Right.
would be a part of an NFT project because you are the person for an NFT project. Okay, seriously, with the creativity,
Um,
the mind that you have, the background that you
thank you.
have, I really don't see why you weren't doing NFTs sooner. Although we're very early,
Uh, yes,
you know.
yes.
So,
I
so
mean it.
go ahead, tell us about your project. I'd love to hear about it.
Oh, okay. My first getting in the field, I did some things with Gutter Cat Gang. Um, that goes with my best friend and my agent, Steve Haney. He called me out the blue one day. Say, "Have you ever heard of NFTs?" And I said, "Yeah, I heard a little bit of it." And he said, "Yeah, I want to get into that world. I want to get into that." And then he found out that he wanted me to get all of my Simpson stuff, and I got my Simpson stuff, and I did a video, which is on YouTube. It was the first video that Tupac did when he died. After he died, it was "What You Won't Do for Love."
Mhm.
I did some animation on that video. So when I brought that to the NFT world, they said, "Hey, we can't use this. It's licensed and everything." But they were amazed at what what I can bring. And then that's when I found out more and more about the NFTs with the electric token. I was like, hey, you know what? You're sitting on a gold mine. There's so many things you could do. So when I'm doing when I did the Gutter Cat game, um, not, no one really knows who Mark Watts is yet, but getting my feet wet in there, that just gave me that competition thing. Like, okay, once I do my next projects, well, we have two projects on board now, and then they have some other ones. Like tonight, I have a meeting with a client that we're about to branch her stuff off. So there's so many avenues, and Electric Tokens find out that I had a fashion background also. I used to do fashion illustration, and I did fashion shows, I did design and everything. So I'm still finding out the NFT is just so huge. And my buddy Steve Haney, the attorney, he's an agent for basketball players, and basketball players approaching him for NFTs. So I'm going to be
Wow.
very, very, very busy. And the one thing I love about the NFTs is just not one thing. I can do some fashion stuff, then I can do things like Gutter Cat games, then I can do sports things, and
Yeah.
I'm still learning about it. And it's amazing. The NFT field is amazing. And one thing I love about it, and they told me, because we're meeting different companies, and they
Right.
love my background,
Right.
and they said your work will live on. It's basically like right now, an episode I did on The Simpsons is probably playing someplace in the world, and
Right.
we don't get residuals for it. The artists don't. The voices do, but the artists don't get residuals. And NFTs, artists get residuals. Whatever sold of your things, you probably get like 5% or whatever, but it's still something that will continue on. So I
Right.
love that. So many things I love about NFT. I'm excited. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. This is a great time to be alive if you are a creative or an artist. This is a great
Yes.
time to be
Yes, it
alive,
is.
you know?
It's
And
it's
it
it's,
just
it's
makes you, when I
funny.
think back about
Yeah.
all the times that, like, when I was getting into art, everybody around me was against it. My family, they immigrated here from Haiti.
Right.
They wanted me to just, be a doctor or an attorney or something. And this was where I needed to go. I'm
Right.
like, no, I want to do art. And it was like such a disappointment for everyone. She wants to do art. Why does she
Right.
want to get into art? This is ridiculous. And I had to just
Right.
just accept the fact that I was just different from everybody in my family. And now they're
Same
like,
here.
hey, what's going on with the NFT? I'm like, no, no, remember, you didn't don't ask me about that. You know what I'm
Same
saying? I
here.
wasn't into that before.
It's
you know
always it's always the artist who is the weird one. I was always the weird one in my family. I always walked the beat of my own drum, so to speak. But
yes.
when you find something that you love to do and your passion, there's something you don't want to do anything else. Now, I had all kinds of eyes jobs, and I'm like, this is not me. This is not my purpose. You
Right.
know, I tell people that when you love something, when you do something that you love, the pay and everything will come with it. You don't do anything for the pay. You do it for the love that's
That's
in you
right.
that you eat, sleep, and drink. I
That's
can't
right.
go a day without, yeah, as I'm talking to you, I'm doodling. I can't go a day, and I've always been like that. And believe me, I had all kinds of odd jobs growing up and everything else, and calling in sick, and I regret it, and I got to pay the bills. But
Right.
once you get into something that you love, and your art, you stay with your family, because my family's saying the same thing.
Right.
But my older sister, one day when I knew I passed it, when she passed me the torch, when she said, one day when I came home from The Simpsons, and I would give my family all the Simpson hats and the T-shirts we would get from studios for everyone else. Got all kinds of Simpson stuff, and my sister said, which this was my crowning moment. She said, she said, I'm so proud of you. I wish I could have done what you're doing, but back in her day, like you said, being an artist, no, don't do that. Be
Yeah.
this or be that. Because everyone back in those days, especially my sister's, they were thinking starving artists,
Yes.
and you're in the
Yes.
corner signing a picture. Yeah. So she said that she's so proud of me.
That's
She feels like when I do things, she feel like that's her. So
right.
yeah.
I agree. I agree. And you know what? It's funny you say starving artist because I remember thinking to myself, if if becoming an artist is going to be a struggle, is this something that you really want to do? I had to ask myself, is this what you really want to do, Zabby? And then I
Right,
thought, yes.
right,
That
right,
is the real
right.
mind of an
There you
artist,
go.
that it doesn't matter what the struggle is, because like you said, when you have a passion for something, you will do whatever you can to
Right.
keep doing it. I'm sure you probably always have
Mhm.
plain paper and a pencil somewhere all the time. You have to always make sure you have that all the
All the time. When I was a kid, when I would go to Detroit to visit my relatives, my older brother and my older cousin, they were, I was too small to join them and stuff. So my older cousin, he would give me a white piece of paper, all the paper I want, and give me pencils and crayons, and I'll draw on their pool table. And I thought a crisp, clean white paper was the best thing in the world. And I sit there and draw the whole hours I'm there by myself doing my thing. So, oh, where's Mark? Oh, he's in the basement drawing. Where's Mark? They call me Marky. Where's Marky? Oh, yeah, he's in the basement drawing, whatever. So it's that when it's in you, when it's in you,
you.
yes,
You got to let it out. You
yes,
got to let it out. And
yes, we
that's the
do.
only way that
Yes,
you
we do.
get better, is like as years go by. I look at some of the old stuff that I've done versus now, and I'm like,
Hmm.
man, I was horrible.
Same
Thank God
here.
I kept
Same here.
yeah,
Same here.
and here,
Yeah.
let me tell you. So the Gutter Cat Gang, man, this is a really cool
Yes.
project. Tell us what
Yes.
made you come up with this theme for the project. Tell us about the theme for your NFT.
Well, I wanted to do something different, and it's a good thing I didn't look at what other artists were doing. I
Yeah,
didn't look at what they were doing till after I submitted mine. So I just wanted to do something different, something street like, and that's when I did all the characters against the wall like that, in street, and street apparel, and then the other ones I did sports themes, like you, I had the bird, the pigeon playing baseball, and I had the dog playing football, and the cat was playing basketball, and the rat was playing soccer. Just wanted to do something different,
different.
what everybody else was doing. Yeah,
I like
like
that.
like I said, being a different person. Yeah,
That's
so
cool.
that
Well,
was
so
fun, and I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Tell us. Keep going. I love
Oh,
this.
oh, I was saying that I look forward to working with them again, because I have some unreleased things that I have. We were talking the other day of Gutter Cat Game. They're unreleased and no one's ever seen them. So
Okay.
when I work with them again, yes, I would love to put
You're
that
gonna
out.
let those go.
All
Okay.
different.
So can we
Yeah.
expect
Hmm.
a lot of NFT projects from you soon?
Oh
Are you
yeah. Oh yeah. Like within a couple of months. Oh
okay?
yeah. And
So
it's gonna
you're
be
definitely working on a
uh
couple more projects. You want to keep this going. I
yes,
agree.
I do. I just want to keep it going and just keep it going. I want to do all avenues, and I want to get into. I just don't want to be in one particular NFT spot. I want to be everywhere, and
Okay.
that's what I plan on doing.
I like that. I like that. So before I let you go, I want to finish off with a couple of things. Let me just let you know I am so happy that you really came on here with me. I mean, just
uh,
being able to talk to somebody else and listen to all of the things that you've done, it's inspiring, not only to me, but I'm pretty sure the audience, but it's inspiring to me to see
thank you,
how much you've done, how, and the fact that you haven't
thank you,
stopped. Like you're like, you know
thank you.
what? There's a whole new stream of income opportunity out there. There's a way for me to now
Right,
really monetize on all of this, creativity that I have inside of me, that I've gained from all the experiences in my life. And now I get to go on and do some other things that are great. So
right.
I think I appreciate that, So you're doing good things, Mark,
Thank
and
you.
I really look forward to seeing more of your projects. I want
Thank you.
you to
Making me
tell
blush
someone.
over here.
No, let me tell you something. Give yourself a pat on the back because you deserve it, you know? And it's good being able to
No,
see
thank
more
you.
people that are in, you know, especially in animation that come as far as you have. Because a lot of times I've seen so
Thank
many
you.
artists, they get into animation and they only get their foot wet for a couple of years and they're like, you know what, it's too much. Or they don't feel like before
Right.
NFTs, I feel like animators didn't get the respect that they deserve for all of the hard work that
True.
they put into all of these storyboards that take hours to create, hours to produce. You know, it was just like, yeah,
Right.
it's not a big deal. You're just doing something, you know, anybody could do that. You know, I mean, not anybody, but I just feel like we creatives
Right.
just didn't get that respect that they should. You know, it's like, well, you're
True.
just doing art. You're not doing these other great things. Well, now look, it's needed. Anything that you watch
Right.
that around you has creativity in it. It takes creative people with
It
creative
does.
minds
Yes,
to
it does.
give you the world that you have around you. If we didn't have creative people, we wouldn't have such a, you know, all the different things that we experience. So if for
That's true.
somebody who is going, you know, let's say someone who's new going into animation for the first time and they're maybe a little scared or they know if they're going in the right direction or not, or maybe they're not confident enough, what advice would you give to someone that's very new in your field, someone that's walking in your footsteps?
I would tell them um, that you have to. You can't take things personal. You got to do this for the love of it because you can do a whole scene and it may take you a couple of days or a couple of weeks and they may not even use it. Or maybe the director says, "Hey, can you do this over?" Or, it wasn't good enough. So you have to be able to accept criticism and you're going to have to be able to draw things that you're not comfortable with so you can be diverse.
Right,
I worked on some shows and some of the directors would say, "Hey, this is not a Simpsons show," but some friends that I worked on the Simpsons, they say, "Hey, these characters look like Simpsons." You have to be diverse,
okay,
and a lot of kids love the Japanese anime. And
yeah,
I would tell them, "Hey, practice on drawing hands, practice on drawing your feet, practice on drawing your brother or your sister. I should be able to see what's going on in your picture without you telling me.
right.
Expressions, is a person sad or are they happy or anything like that? Those are very, very strong, basic, but true things because I tell people and kids when a person looks in a portfolio, two things they're going to look at. They're going to look at your hands or your feet. And can a person draw their hands? Are they comfortable drawing your hands? If you're not comfortable drawing something, that's when you have to try to get better.
Let me tell you something.
Have
I've
to.
tried drawing hands and feet, and they're horrible.
Yes, yes. That's the first thing they look for. They look for your hands and feet, and that's what I do when a kid shows me their stuff, I look at their hands and feet. I'm like, hey, why is the person's hand in the pocket? Then I tell them you have to study anatomy. We had to study
Hide
anatomy
the
before we
hands.
drew a
Hide
Simpsons
the
face.
hands. They hide the hands and they put
Yes,
shoes on.
there you go. You gotta draw the five toes. You gotta draw the hands in all different directions and the five toes. Everyone has feet and hands. You can draw your own hands. And I used to have cats and dogs. I would go to the zoo and draw just there's so many things out in the world that you want to draw and learn how to do as opposed to being one dimensional. You
Right,
get more work when you can draw everything.
right.
Hey, can you draw a tank? Yeah, I can draw a tank. Can you draw a car? Like yesterday I was talking to David at Electric Token. He just found out that I did fashion design. He just went crazy. You did? I'm like, yeah, I can adapt to anything. I can draw, not being egotistical, but
Yeah.
it's from my training as being a kid. I can draw anything.
See. Wow.
I've been blessed that way because I put my mind out there. I don't want all my characters to look like Captain America.
Yeah.
Growing up, I don't want all my characters looking like Batman or what have you. So, you have to be diverse.
Yeah. You want to be able to be diverse. Okay. I like that. I
Yes,
like that. Well, you guys
yes.
have it. You hear what he had to say. Where can anybody find you? Instagram or Facebook or what?
Well, they
Where's
can find me on Instagram
okay?
at AirWatts1, AirWatts1 under Mark Watts. They can find me on Twitter at Mark Watts at AirWatts1. They can find me on Facebook under Mark Watts, and the picture I will have my character. It's a cartoon character that I have on
Okay,
Facebook. Yes, they
nice.
can find me in those places. Yes, and my website is airwatts.net. I got to update that though.
Okay, that's
I have
fine.
links there where I have links there, and they go there. They can click on my links, and it'll send them to my YouTube channel.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mark, for your time
Thank
and
you.
your experience
Thank
and your
you.
wise wisdom. You are
Thank
always welcome to
you.
come back on the show. So if you got new projects coming on, please let me know. I'm gonna bring you back on. We'll talk about that because I could talk about art forever. If I knew you didn't have
Whenever, when,
another, if you had another thing to go to, I would keep you on here longer.
well, then we're gonna have to arrange it one day where I don't have anything else going
Okay,
on, and we can just talk about everything. Because
perfect.
I really enjoy talking with you, and
Okay.
thank you for inviting me.
No,
I really love it. Thank you.
you
Had a
are
great time.
you are welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody. This is Love
Thank
So
you.
420 with God is Zabby. All the links will be in the description, so you'll be able to link to everything that he talked about. I'll make sure that you guys can find him easily. Follow him, like, subscribe, share, and till next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.